Hey guys, so starting early, just finished the channel introduction. Thought might as well give my best attempt at showing what I'm playing currently in Yu-Gi-Oh! I am playing Mathmech. I think I have a pretty decent build. I know the Rio YCS finished up today. Mathmech had a pretty good showing, both regular Mathmech and Attic Mister. But probably a good time to show off the deck. At least this is my version. I do plan on taking a version of this to. There is a regional in Boca Raton. I am in Florida. I didn't put that in the channel intro, but I guess it is important to know. I play in the Tampa Yu-Gi-Oh community, and Florida has a good number of good players. So pretty competitive. I just went to my first locals since being back in Yu-Gi-Oh last Thursday. I finished, it was a 5 round locals, about 22 people. I finished 3 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw. Lost in the top match for pretty much first place to Rika. I had 3 wins against tier element builds. 2 wins against tier element build, a draw against a branded tier element, and beat a zombie synchro. A hand loop style deck with pump cards. It was really interesting. Sadly, I had all the outs, but I did end up losing in the final match, but it was a good experience overall. I will be going back as Oblivion Games locals. They also have their own YouTube channel. Go check them out. They post some good content there. So yes, let's get into it. This is my version of Mathmech. I think I have some interesting choices on ratios and extra deck cards and just tech in general, and so I'm hoping that gives me a good edge here going into the regionals. So let's get started with the most important cards in the deck. Diameter, the best normal summon, and circular. The reason why anybody's playing the deck at all. Really great to see opening. It's good to search for. The only real drawback with this card is you can only attack with 1 monster the turn you use its summoning effect. So it kind of makes going for game in turn 2 really difficult. So in which case I decided to play a more resource-oriented game and outgrind my opponent. So that's going to be the focus of this build here. So these are the main 5 main deck monsters. Usually want to use your normal summons and get those in rotation really quickly. Mathmech Sigma, we play 2 of these. It's really, I tested 3. And he's pretty good, but he's so searchable, and this is what you primarily want to dump with circular, that honestly you want to be resolving its graveyard effect. It's what's different from the extender. So I do play 2 because I don't want to see it in hand as much as I want to see the other Mathmech names. So we do play it 2 just to dump it with circular for cost and get the ball rolling that way. It's also great for follow-up plays. The interaction that if you detach this from Alan Bershin, it avoids getting banished after being summoned. Comes up huge when you're trying to push for games and clearing boards on turn 2. So it's a really MVP of the deck, even though it's at 2. I do, in my build, and this may be a little bit different than some of the builds that you do see, I max out on the reds, the addition and subtractions. Originally I wasn't. Sorry, I'm still getting used to these deck profiles here, obviously. Originally I wasn't, and was just theory crafting on playing the, maybe 2 of each or whatever, because the really important thing about them is the fact that they're names. But honestly, seeing these in your hand is good in practical Yu-Gi-Oh! Obviously test hands, you're going to play solitaire and things. You're always going to prep for best case scenario. But a lot of times you're getting interacted with. If you're impermed on Sigma and can't search things, or you're not able to get the dump off a circular, or maybe you need to play with a normal summon that's not ideal. These guys do a lot. They also help push for damage. They're just they're really solid to see. And at worst case, they are Mathmech names. And can be revived off of Super Factorial. And I really think playing maxing these guys out ups the ceiling of the deck a lot. Next, we play the Mathmech Interruptions. I do play the main deck Induction. I think this card's way too good. How often does it come up? Not too often. Maybe 1 in 10 games. I don't think I ever resolved this last Thursday in the local tournament. However, it's number one, it's a main deck searchable out to Mystic Mind, which is amazing. And number two, in hands where you open Superfactorial, but you are going to open this card. You have 2 of them, so you're going to see it probably once every 9 games. So that you're going to have an open Factorial. This is another searchable card that it adds a layer of interruption. So it's just, in my opinion, it's too good to have. It sends for cost. So it can't necessarily get interrupted with Cosmic Cyclone. If, let's say, you activate it, they chain a quick play, you can chain 2 to send itself and pop something, assuming you have a Mathmech. It's a really versatile card. Yeah, it's a good card. So that's the Mathmech engine. I do play a Signet engine. I include 3 microcoders. And obviously the Signet Minings and 1 Signet Conflict. Like I said, since it's hard to push for game in most boards, I think playing a resource-oriented game is probably going to be a higher win rate, especially against things like Tier and Sprite that just produce so many resources just by playing the game. So I think anything that can get you to just a little bit extra on the first turn board, I think is great. Also, it comes up where Microcoder, if it's normal summoned, you can search a level 4 if you send it for a Code Talker as a link. So many times in bad hands or not necessarily ideal hands, this can be a normal summon plus a Mathmech name to go into a Code Talker to get you to your engine. In ideal states, it searches one of the best counter traps in the game, Signet Conflict, which is a Infirmity Barrier that banishes and also locks them out of that card's names and effects to the end of their next turn, which is very relevant versus Tier Elements. So yeah, I think this package is really good, and I'll probably keep it moving forward and even test how can I adjust these ratios, or if there's any other text, that type of thing. Really enjoyed this package. Then for the final bit of engine, I do play 2 Parallel XCs. I tested this at 3 in the Small World version of the deck, where if you're playing Small World, I think having 3 of this is very important, so you can always resolve it. It's not a dead card. However, I think for the type of build that I have, I think 2 is very important. You don't necessarily rely on this card. However, if you see it, it does up. I mean, more or less, it is a way to get to Alan Bershin through interruption or just a backup plan. It also can represent IP Masquerena. It can represent a lot. So I do think Parallel XC in this build makes a lot of sense, and I do play it too. It's a good card. So now we'll get into non-engine specifically. It's about I think about 55% of the deck is engine and 45% is non-engine. That's done on purpose because we're going to focus around Heat Soul. So we really want to get to those non-engine cards on the draw. So we do play 3 Imperms, 3 DD Crows, and 3 Ash Blossoms. I think these are the best hand traps in the game currently if you're going to play hand traps. DD Crow, in my opinion, is very, very strong versus Tier to obviously just banish things. You don't care about chain blocking. It's great. Ash, it's good against Rogue. It can hit a starter. It can do really good things, and we all know how impactful Imperm can be. So those are my 9 hand traps that I do play in the main. And then I think the best card of the format is, well, I guess the best card technically is Mystic Mine right now, but I think the best card is Super Poly, Garua, and this is something that's different from a lot of Mathmech decks. They don't play this, and I think not playing this is a mistake versus the fully capped Sprite board. This is an instant out versus Tier Elements. It can get you to if they go the topological route, you can get the topological off board, chain with it. You can do all sorts of things with this card. It's really good, really flexible. It can also help push for game if you're not locked with circular. It's a really good card. Every time I resolved it Thursday, I won, which is pretty good. Next, we do play 2 triple tactics. This card's okay. Initially, I thought this card was going to be the best card in the format, but as hand trap started to kind of peel back, it doesn't come up too much. However, if they do Habanis and whiff, and you have triple tactics, this is instant blowout win. Put a card back from their hand back into the deck. Draw 2 if you need the gas. It's a really good card. Usually gets sided out a lot. I might move to cut this for maybe like a Dark Ruler No More. My problem with Dark Ruler No More is obviously you can't do damage, but in this deck it's kind of hard to do damage anyways. So I don't know. I have to do more testing with this, especially as hand traps to kind of start to move, further out of the format. But if you get it to resolve, it's a very good card. And then we play the one called by, should be banned, but it's not, so we play it. And then we do play 2 Pot of Desires. This card is a godsend to hit off of turn 0 Heat Soul, to just open it in your hand or be able to pop off and go search for hand traps. It's a really good card. If you can play it, you probably should. It's a really good card. So we'll go to the extra deck. Again, this is where we're going to get kind of spicy. For the Mathmech engine, we only play 2 Alan Bershans and 1 Laplacian. In testing, I don't think 2 Laplacians actually ever comes up. In fact, if you're in a grind game and you resolve a second Factorial, odds are you're going to want an Alan Bershan for more follow-up anyways. Who's to say that you even have 3 in the graveyard for a second Laplacian? Who knows, right? So I just, I prefer these ratios. Plus, extra deck space is very tight. So having things to cut or to add needs to be in there for a good purpose. And I think the second Laplacian is a reach. So we do play the 3 Mathmech monsters. We don't play Final Sigma. I think that card is kind of noob trappy. I do think Access Code is a little bit a better game plan. Then for the Super Polys, we play 3 fusion monsters. Garua, everybody knows how good Garua is. It's kind of defining the format. It's half the reason why Sprite is a little disappointing in top cuts. After they'll get there, but they'll end up losing out because people are playing this card. Mud Dragon has a lot of good incidental synergy with Mathmech. If you ever can bring this out, you can call light before you start your plays. They can't imperm your circular, they can't stop your diameter. It's really cool. It's also a level 4, so if you start your turn with Super Poly, it can get you to Alan Bershan, a little bit quicker with only 1 extender. Obviously, I know we're Cyberse locked most of the time in our turn. However, if you're opening Super Poly, it's probably going to be the first thing you resolve if you're going second. So usually not a problem. Mud Dragon's really good. Anytime it hit the board, usually turned into an Alan Bershan. It's really good. Last is Earth Golem Agnister. This card does a lot of things. If the Sprite board decides to get cute and not do the Duke Frog or not leave a red so they're not open to Super Poly, with a normal summon, you can clear the whole board. So normal summon, Super Poly, your normal summon away and their Sprite Elf, and then this can walk over the Toad. It's really good. It also can out the Topological or Appaloosas, that type of thing, and actually get your play start. And it's a pretty good card in general. So that's a Super Poly engine. Link ones, we only play the Lean Kribo. I was playing also Amirage side of it, but like I said, it's really tight, and most of the times Link Kribo is serving the same purpose as Amirage. Most of my inboard, since I'm not doing the Link Devotee package, you don't end on an extra Cyber's body to make the Link Kribo. So we trade being vulnerable to evenly matched for more flexibility in the extra deck. For the Link 2s, we play 1 Splash Mage, 1 Cyber's Wicked, probably one of the best cards in the deck. We play one Code Talker. This is very relevant for the Link 2 and also going into Heat Soul. Because it's a dark and obviously all the Mathmechs are either light, fire, and then Alan Bershin is earth for some reason. It's very relevant. This is a dark monster, so this plus 2 lights, you can microcode into this to grab Silent Conflict and then go Code Talker plus whatever light is left to go into Heat Soul. So it is relevant. I was playing the light Link 2 because it kind of ups the ceiling of the deck with the extra special summon, but all of your Mathmech names special summon themselves from your hand anyways, except for Diameter, so it's not really needed. So yeah, we play the Dark Code Talker, serves its purpose, just being a body and a name, so it's good. And wouldn't be a cyber spec about IP Masquerena. This card in this build, I'm thinking about cutting it. It never comes up, especially with the way we play this deck, revolving around Heat Soul. The only time this really ever comes up is if you open Parallel XC, which personally I don't think that's a good enough reason to take up 2 extra deck slots with Masquerena and the Interruption. So I'm thinking about cutting it for more grind game focused cards. But we'll see how it goes. More testing is going to be needed. I summoned it maybe twice in Thursday's tournament, and I don't think it ever really had too big of an impact. I think it was just in a winning position anyways. And then for the Link 3s and higher, we have the Transcode to climb, the Heat Soul, which is the heart and soul of the deck. We do play the 1 Nightmare Unicorn for the Masquerena package, and the access code as the win condition. So that is the extra deck. Like I said, no Link Devotee and Disciple package, and I think it works out for what the deck does. And then for side deck, Ghost Spell. This card against tier elements plus DD Crow usually means they can't play. Hitting Katalos, or I had a situation where on a Havanis they milled 2 names, and I had both DD Crow and Bell, and so they tried to chain block, but DD Crow or Ghost Bell hit Chain Link 2, and then DD Crow hit the name from Chain Link 1. It's very, very good. I was very impressed with this card, especially versus tier. We do play 1 Pankratops, kind of the same reason with Super Poly. It's a good answer to the fully capped sprite board. We play 3 Rivalry of the Warlords. Brought this in, won a game versus tier elements just because I brought this in. It's a very good card right now. I didn't want to main deck it. I thought about it, but I think Heat Souling for hand traps is it's just too valuable, especially if you're getting those 2 draws. And then we play 3 Appointers and a Trap Trick. Just 4 copies of Appointer, more or less. There's incidental synergy with Trap Trick and Factorial, where you can search a Factorial if we're interrupted on your turn. But mostly here just to get an Appointer resolution or resolve on turn 1. Usually, if you do that plus Laplacian, you've pretty much won the game, especially against tier, because obviously you don't want to send something from hand blindly with Laplacian against a tier matchup, because they're going to plus like crazy. So having this when you're up against tier going first, and knowing if it's safe to Laplacian or not is huge. And then we play Back Row Hate. 3 Cosmic Cyclones and the Harpy's Feather Duster. There's nothing really to say here except ban Mystic Mind. And so that is what I'm currently playing, and I've been enjoying the deck. It's been really fun. I love these mid-range style resource decks. I think they kind of let skill expression shine a bit. I've enjoyed playing it, and I hope you give it a try, and let me know in the comments what you think, any recommendations or ideas that you think could be good in it. I have regional on the 10th, so in about 13 days, so hoping to get an invite, and we'll probably be tweaking the deck up until then, and hopefully it'll go well. So post any comments below and let me know what you think I should change, or anything that you think is cool, and so on and so forth. Thanks, guys.